Welcome back to the British Food History Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Neil Buttery, food historian and chef. In today's episode, I am speaking with Great British Bake Off alumnus, Briony May Williams, about retro foods. She's on a mission to bring back some of the foods of the 21st century that are maybe not being enjoyed as much as they should be in the 21st century. I am very much in agreement with this, obvs. As usual, I have got one thing to mention before we begin. Now, because this episode is a bit of a nostalgia fest, I expect, if you're from the British Isles anyway, many food memories to be unlocked. If you're not from the British Isles, you may be less enthusiastic, though you should be, but you may also have some questions. Either way, I want your questions, comments and queries for the now traditional end of season post-bag special. Indeed, if you've got anything to add or say about any previous episode from any previous season. Have you spotted some food history in the news, come across a strange recipe, or have a general food history question? Well, I want to know about it, so drop me an email, neil@britishfoodhistory.com, or leave a comment on the accompanying blog post, or the Spotify app, or on my YouTube channel, depending how you've listened to this. Or, of course, you can visit my social media handles, all of which are in the show notes. I'll remind you all a little bit closer to the end of the season for your material. Season 10 of the British Food History Podcast is sponsored by Netherton Foundry. Netherton Foundry are producers of top-quality British-made cookery equipment. Nestled in rural South Shropshire, Netherton Foundry, headed by Neil and Sue Curry, take inspiration from the local ironmasters of the 18th and 19th centuries to craft traditional cookware from iron, oak and copper using non-toxic materials. Their cookware is built to last, from their famous prospector pans, of which I am a proud owner, to their crumpet rings. Netherton Foundry ships to several countries outside of the UK, including the USA, so visit netherton-foundry.co.uk to find out more about their wonderful products, approved not just by me, but by folks such as Tom Parker Bowles, Diana Henry and Nigella Lawson. And if you want to know more about them, they were on last week's episode talking about their amazing spun iron cookware and how they revived an almost forgotten trade. Okay, let's get cracking. I am talking with Briony May Williams, star of the Great British Bake Off. She was part of the class of 2018. Can you believe it? Time has flown. But she's also got a new book, The Retro Recipe Society. And she's on a bit of a mish to get us all revisiting classic dishes of the 20th century. She's a podcaster too, co-host of I'm Not Judging But, a podcast about parenting. As well as Bake Off, Briony is a regular presenter of Escape to the Country and Morning Live, but also the BBC Travel Show, which is how she came to be on the podcast today. We recorded an episode about the British and their love of puddings. I invited her onto the pod to talk about her project, and she very kindly said yes. We recorded this conversation all the way back in January, and the episode hadn't actually aired, but it's aired now, and it's on the BBC iPlayer. There's a link to it in the show notes. We talk about how Briony became interested in retro foods and historical cooking. We all have an origin story, don't we? Memories of Bake Off, puddings as comfort food, Waldorf salads, our shared appreciation of frozen peas and KitchenAids, plus the infamous banana candle salad. Uh-oh. Monthly subscribers, there's no extra material on the Secret Podcast this week, but instead there will be some alternative premium content for you on the blog. I'll let you know about that at the end. But now, please enjoy Retro Foods with Briony May Williams. Welcome to the podcast, Briony. Very excited to speak to you today.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Before we get started talking about your book, The Retro Food Society, could you just tell listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Briony. I was on Bake Off 8 years ago now, which is absolutely
What?
mad. I know, right? So I was on the 2018 series, which was the second series on Channel 4. And I got to the semi-finals. Then I crashed and burned, which everyone's like, oh, you sad you didn't win. I was like, I deserve to go out. I served them raw pastry and salt
That was a
instead of sugar.
strong year, if I remember rightly.
It was a good year. It was a good year.
Yeah.
And yes, and then I went back and won the Christmas one the following year. So I got my cake plate in the end. I used to be a teacher. I used to be a French and Spanish teacher. But since Bake Off, I now work in TV. So I present things like Escape to the Country. I work on Morning Live as one of their resident chefs. I do a lot of stuff on social media. I've got a podcast with two of my best friends called I'm Not Judging But. And I've just written, last year I wrote my first cookbook, The Retro Recipe Society, which I was really excited about because I love food. I've always loved food. But since Bake Off, they kind of tagged me with the term celebrity chef, which follows me around now. And I'm like, I haven't got any qualifications. You know, I've never trained to be a chef or even a baker. I was, amateur baker. But what I've learned is how much I love cooking and developing recipes and, playing around with food. So it sort of seemed like the next logical step to try and put a book together.
It's the way to do it. That's what happened to me. I mean, I've had a restaurant at one point for a couple of years, but I'm self-taught. It's just from enjoying tinkering around in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's just a hobby that got out of hand, basically.
Yeah. Me too. That's exactly what happened. I started baking in 2013. Then 5 years later, I was on the Great British Bake Off going, oh my gosh, what am I doing here?
Well, that must have been quite the thing because, I mean, it's like one of the most, probably in 2018, it's probably the most popular TV show in the country.
Yeah, it was something like, 14,000 people applied that year. And I still genuinely don't know how I managed to get on. Like, I was an all right baker, but I don't think I was good enough to be in that tent. And I think I learned a lot in the first sort of in the preparation for going on and in the weeks between, because it was just so intense. You're just constantly baking every 3 seconds of the day. So you learn quite quickly. But yeah, it was the best experience of my life, and it's completely changed everything. And people are like, oh, you must get bored talking about Bake Off. I'm like, never. And I did the New Year's one this year. So it was great. That was great fun.
Yeah. No triggering reaction when you walked into that tent.
A little bit, yeah. I was a bit like, when Paul walked in, I was like, oh, God. Oh, I forgot how bad this is, serving food to Paul Hollywood. And probably, an icon in the culinary world.
Yeah.
So it was a bit traumatic, but it was also brilliant.
Those entremets that you had to make for the technical looked like an absolute nightmare. Those are the things I have sort of stress dreams about, making those sorts of things.
Yeah, entremets are what a joke. What a joke. As soon as you hear like the layers, and we need a mousse, and we needed this, and we needed that, I was like, well, this is going to go horribly wrong. And then the amount of gelatin they tell you to put in the mirror glaze, you're like, I think it's something like 8 sheets of gelatin in that mirror glaze. And you're like, that's going to be absolute rubber. Like, why are you telling us to put 8 sheets of gelatin in the mirror glaze?
Life is too short to make a mirror glaze.
Neil, I tell you, there's absolutely no point making a mirror glaze. Just, what is the point? And it just goes everywhere. You lose half of it on the bloody table. So what's the point?
Oh, I did some research about different icings. That's the kind of thing I have to do.
I love that. I love that that's your job. What a great job.
I got to mirror glazes and I just thought, I didn't realise this was so intensive. I mean, at a push, I might pipe a bit of royal icing on a cake. But I like to make things look nice, but when it comes to decorating, I quickly lose patience.
I do love the decorating. I do. And do you know what changed the game for me? It was when I discovered Italian meringue buttercream. And once I figured out how to make that well, I found this great recipe online by the Prep Kitchen. And once I learnt to make that, I will only make that for cakes now, because American buttercream is too sweet and just doesn't do what you want it to do.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And then Italian meringue buttercream just tastes, dreamy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll talk about this later because you wrote, of course, lots of recipes for puddings, but I want to be able to go back for a second helping, possibly thirds. So I don't want it too sweet.
No,
because I'm greedy.
Exactly.
I want to be able to eat loads of it.
Yeah. And weirdly, my daughter, who's 10, doesn't really like sweet icing. She's one of those weird kids who prefers the sponge rather than the fondant and the icing. And my husband's the same. He doesn't like it sweet. So when I started making the Italian meringue, they were like, oh, this is nice.
It's good. I don't mind making an Italian meringue. I quite like it because it's a bit sciencey.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you've got to get your jam thermometer out.
Yeah, that's good.
Pour it in at the right time. Yeah.
Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole. We've not even started.
You start off on a mirror glaze, you end up at Italian meringue buttercream. It happens,
Okay,
Neil. It happens.
let's get this back on track.
Sure.
The Retro Recipe Society. What was the idea behind this book? Why did you choose to focus on retro? Well, it's one of those things where I kind of thought, these aren't retro recipes, but then I got to remember that my world is traditional recipes and things like that. I forgot that I'm retro anyway.
You are just a retro entity. And also your retro is like medieval times, isn't it? Like
Exactly. I mean, 1970s, if I can remember it, it ain't history.
It's modern. Well, it happened a few years ago. I was on a lovely girls' trip and we were up in the Peak District and I went into this amazing secondhand bookshop and I found this old cookbook, really vintage cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it up and I opened it up. I was like, this is fascinating. Like all this advice for housewives in the 1950s and the recipes they used to make. And then I think I came across a salad in one of these books and it was lettuce, banana and whipped cream.
Nice.
And I was like, that sounds horrible, but I'm so intrigued as to why they would put it together. I was like, I kind of want to make this and try it out. And it just spiraled from there. And then every time I went into a charity shop or a secondhand bookshop, I'd look in the cookbook section and find these just incredible books that really, and then I discovered like Mrs. Beeton. I don't know how it'd taken me this long to find her, and then Eliza Acton. And I started finding these books from, this amazing vegetarian book from 1911. And I was thinking, that's so forward thinking. And also some of these books, a lot of the ones in the 1950s written by women. And there's one book where she talks in detail about how bad processed foods are for you. And it's almost like she kind of was way before. I mean, we're only starting to really talk about it properly the last couple of years. But she's talking about it in detail with the science, with the facts, with the recommendations. And it's in the 1950s. But I think, because it was a female, because it was just a cookbook, it was sort of a bit overlooked. And I just found them all fascinating. And some of the recipes, I thought, I'm going to remake those or bring those back a little bit and try them again. Some of them need to stay in the past.
Sure.
There was one called The Mouldy Old Salad. And basically it was a book for kids to cook with kids from the 70s. And it was basically using up your leftovers in a lovely beef gelatin. And I made it and it was like dog food. And I tried it and I thought, oh no. So things like that, I thought maybe it's best. Usually if they're gelatin based, they're best left in the
lots
past.
of weird gelatin, like salads in lime jelly.
Yeah, like fish in jelly.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
But I was just fascinated by it all. I thought it was brilliant. So I kind of started trying to pick out the ones that I think maybe, could do with coming back or having a bit of a renaissance in 2026, 2025. So, and then it just sort of went from there. And then my nan was a home economist and she loved cooking. She taught cooking to young people with disabilities for years. She was an amazing woman, my nan. So she had this incredible knowledge of food. And, I'd sort of say to her, what's your apple pie recipe? And she'd just recite it, just know it by heart. And her mum, Granky, she grew up in Northern Ireland. So they lived on a farm and her mum would just make everything by eye. She wouldn't even weigh it. She'd just sort of, just whack it all in a bowl.
I wish I could do that. It's such an amazing
What a skill.
Intuition.
What a skill. Yeah. So she'd make, apple pies, scones, soda bread, all that every day using all the stuff they've got on the farm. And I just think that's great. So I've sort of used some of those recipes, kept some of them as the classics, and then some of them I've tweaked a little bit and given them a bit of a remix.
Well, that's why it was very much a nostalgia fest for me as I was looking through it. And there's lots of things there that I grew up with as well. And my mum is still a good home cook. But there was also some preparatory foods bought from supermarkets. So it was, it was a good fun mixed bag growing up. Was it hard narrowing down recipes? Did you end up with a huge list that you had to narrow down? Or did you think, no, I'm going to really focus on these and just nail them? Do you know what I mean? Because it's quite hard, because it can get out of hand lists sometimes. Oh
my gosh. And there's so many. Obviously, there's just endless options when it comes to recipes. So what I did is I did it in decades, because I wanted to really have kind of a span of at least from sort of the 40s to now, because I put in some as well that Nora, my daughter, will consider retro when she's older. So things like cookies that we make together, they'll be retro for her when she's older.
Do you remember in the 2020s when everybody was eating brownies? What was all that about?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a recipe in there that I call my not pot noodle, which is basically a healthy version of a pot noodle. And I was like, because I wanted to really kind of bring in all the different eras. So I went in decades and I kind of tried to pick out a few from each decade that I really enjoyed making or that I thought could really do with a resurgence. And then there's just some you have to include, especially as a baker, like a jam roly-poly. I mean, that is the ultimate classic, isn't it? And school cake. And it was so weird because I'd written my recipe and then put the book out. And then the first week of Bake Off, the technical was a school cake.
It was, yes. Yes, that's right.
And I just love that when I talk about the recipes, when I bring them up, when I mention things like a sticky toffee pudding or a jam roly-poly or a pavlova, everyone smiles instantly and goes, oh my gosh, my nan used to make that, or oh, I haven't had that for years. And it really ignites that nostalgia in them. And they just feel really happy and they start talking about it. And everyone's got a really lovely food memory to share.
Yeah, yes.
It sometimes is a funny one, that's something gross that they've had to eat in the past, or it's just a really lovely one from the apple pie that their nan used to make them when they were younger. But it's just something that really connects people and brings people together. And I just love that side of it.
And the other thing that I just think is great is that there is a recipe for a quiche.
Yes!
Which I'm not sure if some people have even tasted what a homemade
I know.
quiche
And a homemade quiche
is like.
so
They're so delicious.
good. And it's so different from the shop bought ones. The shop bought ones, no hate or anything, but they're kind of tiny.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of really small and they just don't have that same flavour. And yeah, I put in the book, I put a quiche Lorraine, which is just, an ultimate classic quiche. And then I put in a quiche Briony, which was my remix. And I know that quiche Lorraine isn't named after someone called Lorraine, but it just made me chuckle. And with that, the idea is that you kind of pick and choose from the ingredients what you want to put in it and come up with your own quiche recipe to try and help people, develop their own excitement for creating new recipes. But yeah, homemade quiche. And you don't have to make the pastry if you don't want to. No one's going to judge you if you go and buy pre-made shop bought pastry. I do it all the time. Don't tell Paul Hollywood. And that just saves you a little bit of time on that. And then you can make the filling. And it's so much better than shop bought.
Yeah, sort of a bit clammy, the shop bought stuff.
Yeah, a bit.
And of course, with anything shop bought, like you, I mean, we all buy shop bought stuff. So
Yeah, of course we do, yeah.
You're not going to lie about it.
No.
Corners are cut. There's preservatives. It's been frozen and defrosted, perhaps. There's just they're just two different foods.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely are.
Foods.
They absolutely are. And absolutely what you said, we all do it. Life's very busy. But if you do have time or you're going to an event or you've got people coming over at the weekend, give a quiche a try. You won't regret it.
Do you remember that saying, real men don't eat quiche? Remember that going around? Do you remember that?
Vicious lies. Real men definitely eat quiche.
Absolutely. What I find funny about these things, actually, you put a big piece of pastry on the top and then it's an egg and bacon pie. And then real men, I'm sure, can eat.
And then it's very manly, yes.
Yes, very manly.
If it's got a lid, it's manly.
Exactly. Oh, the other thing that you've got in there, which I thought was great, was vol au vent. And again, you've kind of done a really retro version with grape on it, which is a very
Grapes
nice.
and chicken and tarragon.
Yeah.
So 70s.
Yes. So
yeah,
70s.
and then I did a more modern one with avocados and chickpeas. Because even though the avocado's been around for decades, people didn't really know what to do with it until like the noughties. And everyone was like, "Ooh, we'll smash the avocado. We'll put it on sourdough with an egg."
Yeah. Well, nobody knew what sourdough was either.
Nobody knew what sourdough. No, that's true. That's true. And vol au vents are just, again, they're so fun to make. And again, you don't have to make the pastry if you don't have the time. But if you do, making a vol au vent from start to finish is the most satisfying thing when you see it rise up in the oven. And you take it out and you bash the hole in the middle and fill it up.
Yes, I was about to say that. Yeah, poking the hole.
Poking the hole.
It's very satisfying.
It is. And just really, it's a lovely activity. And I find a lot of joy in making food. The reason I started baking in the first place was because I was off work. I wasn't very well for about 9 months and they kept misdiagnosing me. And I'm not very good at being at home and not doing anything. So one of my colleagues at where I worked at the school said, "Why don't you try baking?" And I went, "Oh, yeah, okay." And it became a bit of a therapy for me. It was something about the science of it, measuring it all out, having to be precise, and then getting that product at the end. Even if the product wasn't particularly good, I'd work on it and it would get better. So for me, it's always been a therapy. So I love kind of trying to put that out there as well. And because none of these recipes are complicated. There's no crazy ingredients. You don't have to go to 6 different health food shops and spend 20 quid on one item. It's all stuff you can get in Aldi. It's nothing crazy. And they're simple. And that for me is where the joy is. I don't want to spend 3 hours making something that's got 25 ingredients, half of which I don't know what they are. So it's kind of trying to, as well, not just bring back the simpleness of the food, but also the simpleness of the process as well.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, people have been banging on about this for centuries, worried about the simple home cooking disappearing because it is, a short list of ingredients. That's good. That's a good thing, having a short list, not a long list. But it does also mean that after a bit of practice, you kind of got to know what you're doing a little bit because there's nowhere to hide. If you're putting all these rich sauces and stuff like that, it can mask a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
So I'm all for the simple cooking. A few ingredients, do it well, don't cut any corners, and it's not gonna fail, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of think the Italians have got it right in that sense. When it comes to a lot of their cooking, it's just simple, good, wholesome ingredients. And at the end, you end up with the most delicious dish.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think, they've nailed that.
Yeah. And we can do it too in Britain, but for some reason, many of us anyway don't. It's a bit of a mystery. I've been looking into this for years and years, and I can't quite work it out what it is. But we've always kind of been a little bit distant from that. Simple foods, peasant foods, we sort of turned our noses up at it rather than embrace them, like in France and Spain and Italy. So we're a funny old lot. That's my main conclusion.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's fair.
Waldorf salad is in there, which I think it's so 1970s.
It's
almost painfully 1970s.
The peak of sophistication.
But I love a Waldorf salad. They were on my menu for a while when I had my place open. Because again, people buy the pre-made vinaigrettes, or there's recipes maybe made by food manufacturers, and there's put sugar in it and things like that. And it moves so far away from what it was. So it's nice to see a proper one done. And it was also nice to see in your ingredients list salad cream.
Yes, bring back salad cream.
Yeah.
That's such a 1970s thing as well, isn't it?
I love salad cream.
So tangy and delicious.
Oh.
Yes, I love a Waldorf salad, and I think and it's so basic. Like, the list of ingredients I think it's like 5 or 6 ingredients, but it's so good when you put it together. And there's a reason why these recipes have been around for such a long time, why they've stood the test of time, because they are good and people enjoy them and they are delicious. So my twist on the Waldorf salad is the Waldorf salad soda bread.
Yes. Which
is a mixture of my Granky's soda bread recipe, and then I put some of the Waldorf salad ingredients in, not lettuce, don't worry, but like raisins, walnuts, grated apple, and made this like really yummy soda bread, which is actually one of my husband's favourites from the book. And I just love kind of mixing two sort of generational recipes together and coming up with something brand new.
And it's keeping the things relevant as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's a lie. It's a bit of a lie that we think these food traditions don't change. They're always moving. It's just we selected a little freeze frame in our mind as to, what we decided or count as being traditional. But for actual real traditional food, which is ever changing, it's got to keep up with modern kitchens, modern lifestyles. So it's great that you're updating things like this and putting a new twist on them.
Yeah, and I have given, each recipe, you've got that traditional one if you want to do it, or you've got a twist if you want to mix it up. And that, they've both got equal value. It's just a bit different.
And there's some good homely foods in there too.
There's some meals in there for families as well. So if I've got a 10-year-old daughter. She is fussy, quite fussy when it comes to food. She would live off pasta if we let her. But, there's the not pot noodle that I was talking about in there. She loves that. And it's really simple. It's just, dried ramen noodles, some peas, some carrots, and then a mixture of spices and some boiling water. And you basically put it all in a oven-proof dish, cover it with foil, put it in the oven for 20 minutes, and then it's done. And it comes out tasting like a pot noodle, but it's got none of the preservatives, none of the numbers.
Yeah, all that MSG that they put in there.
Yeah. It's got, it's just simple ingredients that you will have in your cupboard, because we're busy. We've talked about this. Like, we're busy people. And I think people think they don't have enough time to cook. And I do understand that as someone who is, I'm away a lot, or just life gets in the way. But if you can take that half an hour, 20 minutes, or even 10 minutes to prep, and then it goes in the oven for 20 minutes, it can make such a big difference to your your health and your welfare as well as your family's and your mental health as well. There's something wonderful about feeding the people you love really good food.
Yeah. I mean, we've been so missold, haven't we, over the last few decades by food manufacturers saying that, oh, you don't have time to cook. We do have time to cook. Maybe not 7 days a week. I mean, again, you have to be realistic, but we do all have time to cook. It's just finding the right food to suit your time and tastes and all that. That's the tricky bit, I suppose. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm a big believer in that. And I find a lot of joy in cooking. So, yeah. And I know a lot of people don't, and I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah, it's a drudgery
but when it's so simple, it takes 5 minutes to prep. We can all do that.
Oh, indeed. It was nice to see Toad in the Hole. I love Toad in the Hole.
Why don't we have Toad in the Hole more these days?
I'd be making
You just don't see it on. I love it.
Yeah, I make it quite often. I absolutely love it. It's one of those weird British foods that go around, usually on American sites. Do they think there's real toads in it or something? I don't know what's going on because it's so
funny.
Inoffensive.
It's literally like sausages in a giant Yorkshire pudding. Yeah. What can you not like about that? Exactly. I don't understand. And when I was looking up the history of Toad in the Hole, I was like, why is it called Toad in the Hole? Like, did they actually used to put toads in it? What? And it was something like, it used to be called like meat in batter or something, or something like that.
It's funny. So I looked into this. I've just been totally coincidentally, I've written a blog post about Toad in the Hole, and there's loads of different. There's recipes called Toad in the Hole, but not what we would think of as Toad in the Hole. And then there's things called meat in batter, which we would call Toad in the Hole. It's like, well, which one is Toad in the Hole? It all got very confusing. These are you can get a bit head scratchy. The earliest recipe that I reckon you could argue was pigeons in a hole. And it's pigeons in a Yorkshire pudding batter.
Yeah.
Not sure about that one.
Yeah.
Hannah Glass.
But I've never discovered one with actual toads in.
No. The first one that I could find that was called Toad in the Hole just had one massive bit of steak. It was literally a toad. So I'm not sure if I'd want to eat that either, actually. But anyway, people have used kidney. I think Mrs. Beaton asks you to use kidney or leftover meat.
Yeah, it goes back to like the 1700s, and it was initially called meat boiled in a crust.
That's it. Yes.
So, I mean, Toad in the Hole's a little bit more catchy, I feel.
And you did a vegetarian version, if I remember right.
Yes, which I actually really love. It's, I put some herbs through the batter and some peas and some broccoli, and it's really nice. Because, lots of people are trying to eat less meat these days.
It's like a cross between a Toad in the Hole and like a frittata or something.
Exactly, yes, that's exactly what it's like, yeah. And it just smells really good when you take it out of the oven. Just all these herbs and all that lovely fresh veg. And everyone's got frozen peas. I'm a big fan of the frozen pea.
I'm a fan of the
I try and put
pea.
it in as many different things as I can. I did a story. I've done a few stories on it, actually, over the years for Food Unwrapped and for something else as well. And it's amazing, the time between them harvesting the peas and then freezing it. It's something like an hour and a half.
Right.
So when you get your peas in your freezer, they are pretty much, when you defrost them, as fresh as they go. A lot of frozen peas are fresher than, the fresh peas you might buy in a supermarket.
Yes, they can be quite starchy,
sat there for a week.
They? Yeah.
Whereas the frozen peas are literally whipped out of the ground, shoved in these amazing freezers, and then bagged up and off they go. So I just think they're a great thing.
I remember for a pop-up restaurant back in the day, I decided to do duck with peas, and I was adamant that I was going to use fresh peas. So I ordered 5 kilos of peas in pots. And I remember being up at 4 a.m. with a tear in my eye, rocking. As I was
should have just used the frozen ones, Neil.
Idiot. I had a bee in my bonnet about it. It'll be farm fresh.
Got a vision of you just crying into the peas. They're very salty, Neil. Yeah, no, it's my tears, don't worry.
But I've always got a bag of frozen peas. It's one of the big successes. Frozen fish, I would say, and frozen berries are the big 3 successes of frozen food. Sweet corn too, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I do prefer sweet corn out of a can, though. I don't know what it is.
It's a little bit weird. It's too sweet and smelly. They're a bit smelly. I'm not sure about that. It smells a bit weird when you open that can up.
Yeah, give it a second, open it and then let it waft, and then you're good. Yeah. I'm going to think of you every time I open a can of sweet corn now.
Me turning my nose up at it. When I was researching my book, Philosophy of Puddings, I found that puddings were on a bit of an upturn because of COVID. People were really looking for comfort food again, and they were still in the, I guess, the national consciousness as a comfort food. But I think people weren't necessarily making them; they were certainly buying them.
Yeah, I think people have got this idea that puddings take ages and ages to make, which isn't always the case. It depends what you're gonna make. If you're gonna boil a pudding for hours, yeah, that's gonna take you some time.
Sure.
But a sticky toffee pudding actually doesn't take very long. You whip up some batter, whack it in the oven, job's a good one.
Yeah, and most things you can steam in the oven these days. Even if you don't have a steamer oven, you can just fill a tray with water and cover it with some foil.
Yes.
And
that's what I do for the jam roly-poly in the book, actually, because like you say, not a lot of people have got a steamer. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll just put a tin, boiling water, done.
And ever since the 18th century, you find recipes in cookery books for things like hasty puddings for when you don't have much time. That take 15 minutes. So it's been the case forever that people have needed food quickly. So it's nothing new. People have always been busy. People weren't sat with their feet up 250 years ago.
They're at the fields.
They've got stuff to do. Yeah, they're tilling fields.
Shelling peas.
Shelling peas, exactly. But it was nice to see sticky toffee puddings and jam roly-polies.
Yeah.
And you name checked your grandma, and you name checked your mum as well.
Yeah,
for handing down recipes, which is the most important thing, especially as a food historian. The foods that people have written down or had passed down to them, they're always the most important ones at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I feel like it's something that we're losing, that tradition of passing it down from generation to generation. And I'm trying to keep it up with Nora. So before Nan passed away, I made sure I got all of, her soda bread recipe, her apple pie recipe, her scone recipe, to make sure I've got those to carry on. And yeah, I found my mum's old 70s, sort of 80s cookbook where she stuck her recipes in, or she's written her recipes out by hand. And yeah, there was some in there, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to use those in the book. And it's just lovely. I just think it's nice to keep that tradition alive as much as possible, because everyone in now, and I get it. Again, it's a time thing. If you want to find a recipe, you just Google it.
And I do that. We all do
I do that as well.
It.
It's the easiest thing to do. But there's just something so magical about a cookbook or an old recipe book, that your mum or your nan wrote in. There's just something really special about that I think we should try and treasure. I think that's, again, why I love retro vintage cookbooks. I've got a collection of I think nearly 100 now. I just find them fascinating to look through. And the amount of time and effort that these people went through to create these books at a time when it was much more difficult is just amazing.
Yeah, and the effort it takes, that was the big thing for me. You look at a recipe for, I don't know, just a basic biscuit, and it'll say, beat the butter for 1 hour using a bundle of twigs or whatever, and you're just going, oh my God, we've done where we're born.
And yet, honestly, I whinge about how long the book took me to write. Back in the day, it must have taken a really, really long time. Yeah, I made a Victoria sponge for something during COVID. I think it was like Steph's packed lunch or something, but they wanted me to make it the traditional way without using any electrical equipment. Oh, my days. Mm-hmm. Beating the butter and the sugar together. My arm, after a minute, I was like, oh, my days. Like, our nans and our ancestors must have been absolutely stacked.
Absolutely,
with guns of steel from all that
good core
mixing.
Muscles.
Yeah.
Good posture. Not like me all hunched over like Gollum.
I know, computers, phones. I'm just going to turn on my KitchenAid and get it mixing.
Exactly. Oh, I'm a big KitchenAid fan.
Me too. I love a KitchenAid. Yeah, if KitchenAid wants to sponsor this podcast. I love KitchenAid. It was my first big purchase.
Yeah, me too,
after I started baking. I was like, I'm going to get one. Because they're not cheap. They're sort of a real investment, but they do last. I mean,
I've had mine 25 years.
And they weigh an absolute ton.
Oh, God, yeah.
You've had yours for 25 years?
I'd say 25 years, and I've never had to oil it, have it serviced, anything.
Wow.
Yeah,
so I mean, they are for life, aren't they?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Paintwork's a bit chipped and stuff because it's been so loved.
Yeah, but it's well loved. Yeah,
it's been
exactly.
Used,
yeah. It's like my, everyone's got that Mason Cash bowl that, that their nan or their mum used to have. And it's all just got a little chip in it or some little lines in it, but it's just where it's been used and loved. I've just remembered I've got my microphone is stacked on some of my vintage cookbooks.
Oh, cool.
Look at that. Party food.
Nice.
Look at that bunny.
Oh, that's very good.
Can you imagine that? For anyone listening, I'm showing a book from, I think it's the 1970s, called Party Food, a ladybird cookery book, and it's got a bunny on the front, which I don't think would give Colin the Caterpillar a run for his money, but...
No, is it two donuts stuck on top of each other with
No, I
two
think it's a
lady
cake.
fingers sticking out?
No, I think
Is
it's
that what it
an
is?
actual cake. But then I've got, of course, the icon, Delia Smith's. This is, I wouldn't even call this retro. This is just the ultimate. Don't you love how she's just holding an egg on the front? Like, this is an egg, in case you didn't know.
Do you remember when she did that episode? I think it was How to Cook, and she showed the nation how to boil an egg, and everybody was in uproar. But people don't know how to boil an egg, Briony. I'm very much a big Delia fan, and I think I really want her to have a bit of a comeback, because I think, the TV is entertainment, obviously, it's all entertainment. But just to have somebody come in and just slowly tell you how to do it, I just find that, even if I don't ever make the thing, I just find it's like being stroked, having your hair stroked by Delia herself.
Yeah,
it's just
gently.
lovely.
This is how you boil an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how you butter toast.
Yeah, she did a section how to grill toast as well, I remember.
There you go.
Yeah.
Back to basics. Basics. She knows what she's talking about.
Well,
Delia.
She does. Now, you mentioned party food there. I'm going to take you to task now.
Go on, then.
Are you ready? I'm going to get stern.
I'm a bit scared.
Where is the pineapple and cheese hedgehog with half a grapefruit wrapped in foil?
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Well, maybe when you do volume 2. And where's the jelly rabbit? The blancmange rabbit with jelly green
the
grass?
blancmange rabbit.
With lime grass
does that
around
need
it?
to stay in the past, Neil? Does that not need to stay? Maybe keep that in the 70s, or are you a fan of blancmange?
I'm a big fan of blancmange.
You?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I'll eat a packet
maybe
blancmange.
I might do the cheese and pineapple on my Instagram and see what reaction it gets on my TikTok, because I feel like a lot of people are going to get angry about it, because people get really leery about cheese and pineapple, don't they? Like pineapple on pizza, and oh my god, why would you eat cheese and pineapple together? I'm here for it. I love pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, me too.
All the way. But yes, I think maybe volume 2 of the Retro Recipe Society. I'll do like a party food.
You could do
version.
Oh gosh, have you ever heard of a banana candle salad?
No.
Okay.
Tell me more.
So it's a pineapple ring from a can.
Right.
You cut a banana in half. You have the banana poking through the hole.
It sounds a bit erotic.
Then you put mayonnaise all over the end of the banana.
No,
I'm not
this isn't real.
It is real. And then a glacé cherry on the end of. And it's.
Is it meant to be pornographic, or is it just
you see it
a happy coincidence?
I think Fanny Craddock has a recipe for it.
Of course it was.
And you see them pop up in kids' cookery books.
No.
It's nice to know that we've always had a sense of
I'm
humour.
going to have to look this up. What's it called?
It's called a banana candle salad.
Pornographic banana salad.
So it's meant to look like a
candle
candle, in a little holder with wax dribbling down.
I love this. Banana candle salad.
And I guess
Oh, no! That is so... What the hell? Neil, you can't tell me they didn't know what they were doing. I'm trying to hold it up.
They knew what they were doing, surely.
Too bright. Oh, my God. It's basically... That is hilarious. Oh, my God, I'm so going to do that on my social media.
So get that one done.
People did this for kids.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, my gosh. I can't. That is too funny. I'm going to be absolutely falling down a banana candle salad rabbit hole today.
Fantastic.
That's my afternoon sorted. Thanks, Neil.
That's your day sorted.
Oh, this is outrageous.
Get the kids involved.
It's the stream of cream coming down the side of the top of the candle that I just...
Yeah, amazing.
Can't.
Well, on that note,
I think we've peaked there, haven't we?
I think we have.
Can't really top that.
Oh, but look, it is such a good book. There's a nice bit of history to set the
Thank you.
scene. There's a really big variety of recipes in there. And ones that people do need to revisit, because perhaps they think they're a bit naff, and they shouldn't do. Like things like a quiche and a vol au vent. Don't put toast toppers in there like we used to do in the 80s. Do you remember toast toppers in a can? Heinz toast toppers.
I love talking to you, Neil. I could literally talk to you for like 5 days straight just about food. It's just so fun. What's a toast topper?
It was in a tiny can, and there was ham and cheese, there was chicken and mushroom, and you're meant to spread them on toast and then grill them. Awful. It was like glue. It was like glue in a can. But we used to fill our vol au vents with those back in the day.
Wow.
Can you still buy a toast topper? Oh,
I don't think so, love. No.
No, maybe that one is best left to the 1980s.
I'm going to have a look, though.
Yeah.
I'm also going to Google that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it'll top the banana candle salad, though.
No.
It's going to keep me going for days.
Good. Right. What was I saying? Yeah, it really is a fantastic book. And I really hope people really check it out because it's just nice.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see some classic recipes just done properly and also updated because that's what I also try to do with my stuff. So it's nice to see that other people doing it probably more successfully than me, I have to say. So well done. You get a sticker. Now, Briony, where can people find out more about you?
So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the lot, as at Briony May Bakes, and go on there. There's a link there to buy the book, or you can find it on Amazon. Or I do like to just generally share kind of content on there about food and other bits and bobs. So come and find me there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are there any events or anything coming up that listeners might be interested in?
I'll be doing the rounds at some festivals this summer. I'm going to be at Carfest this summer, which is one of my favourite festivals to do. I'll be at the Chef Stage hosting that, and it's at Silverstone this year, which is very exciting. I'll also be at the Southport Flower Show hosting the Chef Stage there, which again will be really good fun, and a couple of other festivals. Still doing Escape to the Country and Morning Live.
Excellent.
And a bit of the travel show, which you know all about, Neil.
Yes, we recorded. I mean, it's why we're talking today, basically, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. We bonded over our love of puddings.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it.
Busy times.
Unless we're cut out.
Oh, and I've got a podcast too called I'm Not Judging But.
Yeah.
Which... I'm Not Judging But, which is about parenting. It's with my two best friends, Charlotte and Vicky, and we just basically have a laugh, give out some unqualified advice.
Excellent. It's the best kind of advice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you very much for coming on, sparing the time to have
Thanks for having me.
Have a chat with me about retro food. It's been really good fun.
Oh, thanks, Neil.
Thank you very much, Briony. There are lots of links in the show notes to Briony's book, The Retro Food Society, as well as to her socials and YouTube channel. There's the episode of the BBC travel show called Sugar and Spice, a British pudding adventure, the one that Briony presented featuring little old me and recorded in Briony's hometown of Bristol, originally transmitted March 2026. There are links to the New Year special of Bake Off that features Briony and those entremets, plus Carfest and the Southport Flower Show. What else? Delia Smith boiling an egg, my Toad in the Hole research, and Sam Bilton's banana candle salad, which was also discussed on the other podcast with Sam Bilton and Alessandra Pino, A is for Apple, part of Season B, of course, B is for banana. Sadly, Toast Toppers were discontinued by Heinz in, can you guess, 2015. I can't believe how recent that is. It's frankly amazing. Do you remember them? Let me know if you do, or indeed any other obscure retro British foods. I have put a pic of them up on the accompanying blog post, along with that picture of Sam Bilton's banana candle salad. Please do check it out, britishfoodhistory.com. Now, subscribers, as I said, no extra material on the secret podcast, but instead, in a few days, you shall find a blog post just for you on the topic of hasty puddings, as were briefly discussed in today's episode. There'll be a recipe and a bit of history, of course. And by the way, last week I posted my recipe for kedgeree for everyone, so check that out too if you haven't already. But it's time to go. Until next time, please do take care. Cheerio.